This is Dr. Zachary Leong. In this video, I'll be explaining how MS3253 is a basic course in computer programming and what that means for you. So computer programming courses are different from many of the other courses that you've taken in the College of Business, such as business statistics, where you're focused on math concepts basically and how to perform calculations, or let's say the best practices in operations management course, where you have to read and analyze a business case study, write a report, and give a presentation. For this course, you basically have to work with data using a computer programming language R, and you need to learn how to read and how to write computer programming code. Now, I know what many of you are thinking. Do I really need to learn computer programming? And the answer is yes, you do, if you want to pass this course. Can't I just get by using a GUI, a graphical user interface? Here's a screenshot of the SPSS modeler as an example. So there are data analytics softwares which you can use where you can just use a graphical user interface and you don't actually have to write code. Although, to be honest, what you're doing is basically, logically speaking, almost the same as writing code, because you have to be super precise. So anyway, here's an interesting comic from kind of a nerdy, computer geeky comic strip called Commit Strip. Someday, we won't even need coders anymore. We'll be able to just write a specification and the program will write itself. Oh wow, you're right. We'll be able to write a comprehensive and precise spec, and bam, we won't need programmers anymore. Exactly. And do you know the industry term for project specification that is comprehensive and precise enough to generate a program? No. Code. It's called code. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this comic strip. The point is that code is the thing that is comprehensive and precise enough to generate a program. So if you want to perform a particular data analysis precisely, you have to write code for it in some way. So coding teaches you to be precise, and it develops and trains your brain. So after you go through this course, you might actually end up becoming a bit smarter and a bit more clear and precise in your thinking and writing. Can't I just get by if I use Excel and VBA? Excel is pretty good for very basic tasks, but when tasks get more complex, Excel is not really the right tool. And Excel can corrupt your data, or it can take a long time to open or run large files. Alright, so now that you realize that you have to learn computer programming, you might be thinking, isn't it really hard to learn computer programming? Well, not really. Computer programming languages, including R, are actually fairly simple languages compared to the real-life languages you and I use on a day-to-day basis. For example, R has a very small vocabulary. There are only 20 keywords. If you think about the number of English words you know or the Chinese characters that you know, that's thousands. And the rules that govern how the language works are actually very simple and are extremely logical. I'm going to use the analogy of learning French to explain this, because learning computer programming language is like learning a new human natural language. So when you learn French, you need to learn the vocabulary. For example, if you want to say the word I in French, that is je, If you want to say the word am, that's suis. Hopefully my pronunciation is not too terrible. And there's some rules about how to arrange words into sentences. So, je suis Zachary means I am Zachary. Now, real-world languages like French are actually very messy and have strange rules. So, for example, in French, all nouns have a gender, either masculine or feminine. So, vive la France. Here, France has a female gender. But if you say allez les bleus, at least I think that's how it's pronounced, les bleus, bleus is masculine. That's why it's les instead of la. So there are a lot of rules you have to remember if you want to learn French and speak French natively. Another weird thing about French is the word order is often different from English. So for example, my favorite color is red would be translated as ma couleur préférée est le rouge. And obviously, it's quite easy to guess which word is which because the words are quite similar. And one thing about learning a new language is you start by memorizing certain scripts, and then as you get more familiar with the language, you know how to adapt or modify the scripts to express your meaning. So you may have memorized ma couleur préférée est le rouge, and if you learn the word bleu, then you can easily adapt it if you want to say ma couleur préférée est le bleu. Okay, enough about this crazy French stuff. Can you give me some advice for how to learn computer programming well? So that's for those who have the kind of intrinsic motivation to learn programming well. And for those of you who need the extrinsic motivation, how do I get an A+ in this course? All right, so the first advice I have for you is don't just copy and paste the code without thinking. If you do that, you'll basically go into one ear, pass through your brain without changing it, and just go out the other ear. All right, so if you don't think about what you're typing or copying and pasting, you're not going to learn anything. Instead, I advise you to spend time to ask why. Why does this work? How does this work? Right? So you can be cute like this boy and ask why? And I encourage you to spend time to take the code apart. Just like these curious engineers will take mechanical devices apart to figure out how they work and put them back together, you should spend time to try to figure out what does each part of the code do. You should also experiment with the code by making changes and seeing does it still work or does it break the code. Ultimately, when you want to learn programming, you can only learn programming by actually doing it. And when you do it, sometimes you will fall or fail, but that's life, That's just the process of learning. All right, so to conclude, learning to code is not too difficult. If you can get into City, I'm quite confident that you should be able to learn enough to pass the course. And also, learning to code can in fact be quite fun. Alright, that's all in this video. See you next time. Bye!